Welcome to the Darkstream, Vox Day, voxday.net, and unauthorized.tv. I have no idea why it didn't play the music or anything. I thought I hit the right thing, but actually, now that I think about it, I think I hit the wrong button. Anyhow, so we're just launching in live, and so I should say Vox Day, voxday.net, and unauthorized.tv. So we were going to do Archaven Nights. That's why I'm a little bit late. John Delarose and I were going to do our usual Thursday night stream, but it did not work out because the system that he uses, which is not unauthorized TV directly, by the way, it broadcasts through there, but his streaming software was having issues, and so I just said, you know what, let's do it next week, and we'll just do it next week. But you know, just to kind of keep the theme going, I will find that song. See if I have it here. I have no idea where I put it. Here we go. So this is the Archaven Nights theme song, and I think it deserves a play tonight because, you know, we should be doing Archaven Nights. And let me see if I can find it. There we go. Okay. Let me fire up some of this. Okay. So okay, I got to turn on the audio here. See, I'm trying to get John to learn to play the whole thing. It's very offensive to me to, you know, not have my full Archaven Nights theme played as a proper introduction, because I think you'll admit that it's really worthy of it. So this is Archaven Nights, the Dark Lord's theme.
The Dark Lord cometh, you won't want to miss this. The Dark Lord cometh, he rules with an iron fist. The Dark Lord cometh, he's coming here today. The Dark Lord cometh, already on his way. Turn on the lights, Archaven Nights today. Turn on the lights, Archaven Nights, Vox Day. Turn on the lights, Archaven Nights, Vox Day.
So that was, of course, the Dark Lord Cometh, Archaven Nights. Just a little tune I put together with the help of the Suno AI system. It's actually pretty incredible what you can do with AI music now. It's actually perfect for little introductory themes and that kind of thing. Not so good at putting together entire songs that are coherent in a conventional verse, bridge, chorus, verse, bridge, chorus, chorus, end. 3 minute, 10-second pop music approach. Silent Draco says, awesome. The only thing missing is the skull crunch sounds. That's true. That's true. We probably need to add some of those at some point. By the way, if you haven't noticed, this is the new Darkstream subscription logo thing. And you can actually take out subscriptions to the Darkstream. And I can assure you that it would be good if you did, because we will take those resources and we will use them to improve UATV. You know, it's not something that I intend to use as a revenue stream. We're fortunate in that we've been able to make it work, but a lot of people have been asking me in the past, why can't we subscribe to the Darkstream? Don't get me wrong, I'm fully aware of what the reasoning is, which is if people are actually subscribed to the Darkstream, then I really do need to do it at least 3 times a week, and so forth. So, but it's fine. You know, I'm committed to it. You know, I'm going to be actually spending more time working on my content creation side and letting the devs make more of the decisions on what should be done and how it should be done. Because frankly, I just don't know enough about video and don't understand video well enough to really be making particularly good decisions about it, in my opinion. So I think the best thing that I can do is focus on the content and you know, start getting some more Voxiversities and that sort of thing out. You know, and I think once, you know, one thing that we might want to even think about doing is potentially a Sigma game channel, you know, where we do Sigma game stuff once a week. I don't know. It's just an idea. Big Red says, it's not bribery if it's for a good cause. I don't mind it. I mean, this is how you, first of all, let's face it. This is how you guys got me to do Voxiversity in the first place. This is how you got me to do comics in the first place. I mean, I'm an economist. You know, I don't believe in doing this stuff to chase the money. You guys know that. But I do believe that it's easier for me to make decisions when you guys vote with your dollars rather than just whoever the 20 or 30 loudest people on email are. You know, the beauty of crowdfunding, and this is something that most people that do crowdfunding, even very successful people that do crowdfunding, don't understand. One of the greatest things that you can have is a failed crowdfund. I mean, I realize that sounds contradictory, but a failed crowdfund means that you're not going to spend a lot of time, 6 months, a year, doing something that nobody has any interest in, that is going to fail. One of the reasons that Junior Classics has been so successful and is so popular and continues to sell really well is because the amount of interest that went into the crowdfund made it very clear that that's what people really wanted. And of course, that's what we're seeing. It's hugely popular with homeschooling parents and their kids. I mean, if you're a parent of a kid under the age of 15 and you haven't gotten a set of Junior Classics yet, you really should. And I'm not just talking about our Junior Classics. I mean, ours are the best, no question. But you know, even the 1964 edition, anything up to the 1964 edition is all right. You don't want anything newer than that. The 1991 edition is just 1992, maybe it was. That edition is just pathetic. You know, it went from books for young readers to read and love reading to teaching kids how to read, because kids that were reading high-level classics 100 years, you know, not 100, but 50 years before, are now incapable of reading them. So it's like, let's read together. It's just nuts. So anyhow, but this is a reminder. You can subscribe again to unauthorized. If you go on there, you create your account, you can subscribe, etc., etc. We're about 1/5 of the way to where we want to be. So if you haven't got rolling with that yet, we would encourage you to do so. We've been we've been running this as pretty much in the red since like February. So it'd be good to start putting building up some reserves again. Everything's fine. This is not a Jimmy Swagger. Please, you must do this now, or bad things will happen. That's not the case at all. We're not, foolish like that. But, and it is a bit confusing right now. The links to all the web links are mixed up and stuff. Cliff Cosmic, the Full Strike himself, is here. He says, signed up for a premium, glad to support again. Cliff, always good to see you, and glad to see Full Strike is still rolling on ArcTunes. I actually had an interesting conversation with a early ArcTunes creator. He's gonna be up. He's gonna be up and joining ArcTunes again. And is the site you get directed to a foreshadowing of commenting sections to come? Possibly. We've got a number of tasks that are prioritized that have to be done. But I'm guessing that within 3 to 4 months, they can get back to doing features again. But yeah, there's going to be a lot of new stuff that's happening, Roku, iOS, etc., etc. Hawk says, please be aware the subscriptions are on a completely separate site. That's right. You got to go in, and we'll have Hawk. If you haven't written that thing up and put it on the UATV Substack, that'd be useful now, and then you can send a link. Don't try to explain it here. Nobody understands this stuff. So the best thing that you can do is put up a coherent description on the Substack site and pop the link up here. That will be the most effective thing. Bertaria has already done something like that, and that's, I believe, is having a positive effect as well. So, but one step at a time. I mean, to understand the level of difficulty in doing things yourself, let me share with you a recent experience that I had. And so as you're aware, we're working on getting the bindery going, right? And one of the things that we've learned is that due to the unique properties of the leather that's used in the library, the stamping press that we had doesn't work on that leather. I mean, it works fine on, you can see this, it works fine on the cowhides and the sheepskin that are behind me there, but it doesn't work, which of course is why they have a 60-ton press from like 1922 in the American bindery. So what do? We find an old 1957 press and buy it. And now we know there's no way we can get it in the window through the existing bindery location. So we arranged to get a space right around the corner in the same complex. So on Friday last week, it shows up. We cannot get it in. The truck is too low for the loading dock, and even if it was the right height, we can't get it off because they loaded it from the side, which means there's no hole in the pallet. A new machine. Yeah, we've got the new machine, but I don't have. All I can do, unfortunately, about all I can do right now is show you a picture that somebody took with my phone. But this is, let's see here. So is this, which is the one? Okay, here we go. So I don't know how well you can see this, but that is me next to the new machine. And so you can see the size of them. They're big. So anyhow, we have nowhere to put it. So I got to call a friend who's got a giant 4-ton forklift. He's able to, we drive it up to his place. He takes off the machine, puts it in his hangar. So we're good. Right. Then, Avon B says, you posted this process. Oh, this is just the start, Avon B. This is just the start. So, just tonight, so yesterday, let me back up. Over the weekend, I meet the owner of the new building. He's cool. We get along. He says, hey, you can park your machines in one of our warehouses. We'll work, if you want to rent some space, we'll work it out. Well, so the next day, which is yesterday, another machine shows up. So I work it so that the one machine gets brought up from my friend's place. The other machine shows up. We get a forklift from one of the farmers who lives nearby. We get both machines off and into the place. I think I've got a picture of that here. Hang on. Yeah, so I don't know if you can tell, but so this picture has the one machine that you already saw behind it, and then the new machine in front of it. And so we got both of them in there. And just tonight, we worked out a deal to get out of the first place and get into the new place. And so, I mean, the amount of dancing around and moving 2-ton machines and stuff is incredible. But the upshot is that the capacity that we're going to have when everything is rolling is going to be exceptional. I mean, the quality of the stuff that we're going to be able to do is better than anything that's being done right now. And, it's even potentially remotely possible that we might be able to do letterpress stuff too. So that's the level of detail that we have to go into to get this stuff working properly. And that's the level of detail that I want the video people dealing in on the video side, which means I can't be the person calling the shots on those particular things because I don't know enough about it. And so, but that's going to free me up to do more content, which I think is going to be a very good thing. And so, like you saw, we're doing, John and I are doing Archaven Nights every Thursday. We're going to, Owen and I are talking about doing something, and we're even, we've even had some discussions, and it looks like we're going to be able to pull it together. We're even looking at doing a twice monthly sort of unauthorized roundtable. And we've talked to the Legend, we've talked to Razor, everybody's in. So I think that could be really cool. People seem to like Archaven Nights a lot, and obviously it's always fun going with Owen. So Castelia Logistics Limited. Well, we got a guy with a warehouse who's very, very good at that sort of thing. He could seriously run it. I mean, he's been amazing. I know you guys are happy with him because he's getting you your books and stuff now. But the really amazing thing about him is he's pulling stuff together from uh, Poland and Lithuania and and New Hampshire, um, and arranging, and actually getting the machines in. So he's amazing, and we really appreciate having him on board as part of the team. And if he ever did want to start a logistics company, that would absolutely be something that we would support and partner him in. So, and speaking of supporting people, congratulations to Razorfist. I don't know if you've noticed, but uh, the Amazon version of his Ghost of the Badlands is doing very well. So it's done well direct from Archaven. It's doing well at Amazon. It's good to see that kind of support. And once the color version comes out, there may well be a digital version on a certain site that you might have heard of. So, um, so that's all good. Let's see what else. Yeah, so the main thing I think is just bear with it. You guys have been doing it for years, so you know how it works. Um, it always takes us longer to get there than we think it should, and it's always a more convoluted path, but we always get there in the end. And so, um, it's we're just beginning the next stage of UATV, and um, and this is the first step. So obviously, it's not a problem now since there's no paywalls and that sort of thing. But um, we'll be putting together a whole strategy using the dual system. The roundtable will absolutely be a conversation about conversations. Um, uh, Avon B, that's a good way to get yourself banned. So um, I wouldn't recommend uh, addressing me that way. Um, all you're doing is acting like a special boy who has been on Wikipedia. Okay? Don't do that. Um, the conversations about conversations are, of course, the most important conversations. We have been reminded of this many times. I know that I personally always find it fascinating when Ben Shapiro talks to Sam Harris, who talks to Jordan Peterson about what Jenny said about Susie. Good stuff. Um, Labadal said, I had a fun time explaining to my new wife, congratulations, Labadal, how stuff with Vox always works out eventually. Well, the thing is that if you have a proper design, if you have a proper conception, it's going to work. I don't design things that don't work. But we have a growing crisis of competency everywhere around the world. The way that um, even the people who are skilled and competent have become increasingly solipsistic and um, are just absolutely unwilling to pay any attention to what is necessary for them to do to have success. I'm not interested in naming any names, and I'm not interested in assigning blame per se for anything. So I'm not going to name a specific example or anything, but we've done a number of different projects. Some are more successful than others. And sometimes, even though everybody who volunteers, I make it very clear, if you're volunteering for something, you need to be doing it for reasons that are not financial. If I were focused on financial reward, I would never have written my syndicated game review column. I never would have written my WorldNet Daily column that was later syndicated by Universal Press Syndicate. I never would have published the blog. Castalia Library wouldn't exist. Just to name 4 things. ArcTunes as well. None of those things would exist if I insisted on getting paid to do it. And so I tell people, look, if you're going to volunteer, if you're going to do this kind of stuff, you have to be willing to do it in the full knowledge that the activity is its own reward. And I don't care whether that's proofreading a text, I don't care if it's making a video, drawing a comic, any of those things. Now, obviously, we want to have mechanisms so that if something is sufficiently successful, money can be made off it, which will then allow stuff to happen. We cannot do comics, we cannot hire artists if the comics aren't funded somehow. We've learned it's a mistake to just do it, spend the money, time and money to do it, and then hope that it pays for itself. That's a terrible way to do things. It's no wonder the publishing industry is collapsing. But sometimes it works out. Now, this is hard for people who are volunteering and working just as hard on one project to watch another project becoming so successful that the volunteers become employees, paid employees, full-time paid employees, actually working, and they're able to quit their jobs and start doing that full-time. This is very difficult for some people to see, obviously. It's demotivating for them. But typically, not always, but typically the reason that those projects are not successful is because they didn't follow the design. They don't listen either to me or to the market. Now, if you think about it, what type of people are least likely to listen to the market? It's people who think they know what they're doing. It's people who are good technical people. They have their own priorities. They have their own idea of what needs to be done first. And what they don't do is, or what they end up doing is they end up trying to fight the market, trying to convince the market. And that's why you see, they always end up saying, well, people are so stupid, dun, 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 they don't get it, blah, blah, blah. And maybe that's true. But whether it's true or not is irrelevant. If you're working on a project, your goal should be make the project successful, not prove that my way is the correct way. Now, sometimes your way is the correct way, and when people don't do it, it fails. That's happened to me. I'm sure it's happened to you. But that's not always the problem. More often the problem is that you're focusing on the wrong stuff. I was talking to one of our guys, and one reason that he is quite receptive to what the market wants is because he had an experience of starting his own company. It was a technology-driven company. It was an engineering-driven company, and they actually worked very hard, and over time they got the product doing exactly what it was supposed to do. The problem is they hadn't spent any time listening to what people wanted. And they had no customers, and if I recall the story correctly, they actually ended up shutting down the company without ever making a single sale for a single dollar. You know, that's not how you do things if you want to be successful. That's not how you do things if you want to do them. You know, not if you're trying to make it work. And so, but here's the thing. You got to pay your bills. Everybody's got to pay their bills. If you find a way to pay your bills, try to find a way to do something useful with the rest of your time. I can tell you right now, it is so much more satisfying to be able to see the catalog of videos on UATV, to see the books that we create and publish, instead of thinking, well, I sure watched a lot of television this year. It sounds a bit like heresy, but to say, well, I played through Helldivers this year. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm just saying that it's more satisfying to contribute to something, to make something. By the way, Cliff, you'll have to let us know when you want to actually put Full Strike into print, because obviously we'll be happy to do that for you. Just for the love of all that's good and holy, do read the directions from the editors. It drives them crazy how they have this whole list of instructions for the artists to follow in producing print ready PDFs, and I don't know that anyone has ever followed them correctly yet. We'll see. But speaking of technology, I was very productive this week. You saw the post earlier today. This is my new portable machine. It's hardly new. It's actually a 2017 era ThinkPad. Apparently it's military spec, which it does feel pretty rugged and stuff. I'm not going to bounce it off the floor to prove it, but what's really cool is the fact that this machine is vastly better than the machine that I bought it to replace. This is a modern Chromebook. It's cheap and is a cheap piece of junk, in my opinion. But it's really nice to be able to fire up Linux Mint and just have it working without any trouble. And the whole thing is just, oops, welcome to Linux Mint. Yes, I know. Thank you. So, but this operation costs $100. Because so much stuff is web-based now, because so much is, we've really hit a declining marginal utility of new technology. And, I would never buy a Chromebook at this point. I would never buy a new laptop at this point. Maybe if you are playing high-end modern games that need some serious technology, maybe you would want to consider one. But if you're just doing email and stuff on the web and maybe some light graphic stuff or whatever, all you need to do is buy an 8-year-old, 7-year-old laptop and put Linux on it. I'm using Ubuntu Mint Cinnamon. Terrence says laptops are not for gaming. Well, yeah, I have a pretty serious desktop here myself, but sometimes you do need them. I absolutely needed one recently. That's why I bought the Chromebook, because I needed to have a way of checking email. The funny thing is, I found myself using my tablet that I essentially used for nothing but an alarm clock and reading books, I ended up using that more than I used because I just hated the Chromebook that much. So, and of course, I'm not a big fan of Google in the first place, so, you know. But it's not stupid question day, but, go ahead and fire in. If you got any questions about what we're doing at UATV, or if you've got any questions about what's going on with Castalia or Archaven, please go ahead and ask. Just a quick update on Pride and Prejudice. The US bindery has finally fixed its box machine. The books are being boxed, should be shipping out next week to the warehouse. So people will be getting their tracking numbers after that. We had a whole 8 different books have their leathers being shipped. So War and Peace is in the works. The Missionaries is in the works. Missionaries 2.0. And what's that? That's 3. So 5 other books. So those will begin the process of getting bound and shipping. Not all of them are ready, but most of them are. And we'll be happy to put out the more information about the bindery and everything once we've got that going. Because, like I said, we should have our new location. New location's already nailed down, so we just don't know when the building is going to be sufficiently finished that we can start using all of it. Always a good day when you get a leather book in the mail. Indeed. When will you release the football team theme song? That's up to them. They understandably didn't want to do it when they were getting relegated. But it's actually going to be a good theme song for the campaign to win promotion back up to the National League. So, and we did actually arrange the lyrics in such a way that it would work either way. For UATV, will there be a notification, RSS, email, or site notification for a live stream? Yes. How exactly it will work, I don't know, but what I'd like to do, people are going to be able to tie into their subscriptions more closely. So what we want is, for example, if you're subscribed to Feed the Bear, that you can opt in for a notification that Owen's streaming. Obviously, if you're on basic or premium, you can sign up for all of them, etc., etc. Silent Draco says, daughter will get Pride and Prejudice as a birthday surprise, a favorite of hers. Yeah, girls love Pride and Prejudice. It's crazy. We actually only did Pride and Prejudice because one of the women on the team, it's her favorite book. And when I asked her, what book do you think we should be doing? What book do you think that might appeal to women? She didn't even hesitate. So she will love it. I'm certain she will love it. Does soccer have marching bands? No. Soccer does not have marching bands. Soccer does not have cheerleaders. Soccer has hooligans, and that's pretty much it. It's actually pretty impressive. I think probably the most terrifying stadium to play at must be it's either playing against the Mexican national team in Mexico. They play at this stadium that's about a mile high, and apparently the fans will literally throw bags of urine at the particularly U.S. players when they're going into the stadium. Arguably even more terrifying is Galatasaray. If you want to see something that's even more imposing than the Virginia Tech Enter Sandman entrance, check out what they call Welcome to Hell for teams playing against Galatasaray in Turkey. It's kind of funny because the one thing that does sort of puzzle me as as an American is seeing people setting off flares in the stadium. I mean, that just seems like insanely dangerous, an insanely bad idea, and something that is likely to lead to significant casualties. How does Social Galactic 2 get funded? There's a small number of people that subscribe directly to it through the Archaven store, but it's predominantly funded through unauthorized. That's why if you subscribe to unauthorized, you also get automatic access to Social Galactic. But yeah, Social Galactic is one of them where the devs kind of had their own vision, and it was not really anything that worked very well. There were features it needed to have if people were going to really seriously subscribe to it, and those features never got implemented. So what do you do? Hang on, I'm going to see how we're doing here on that. See if we got any instructions coming in yet on the unauthorized side. So, any instructions yet? There we go. So we shall see. Anyhow, that's pretty much it. Today's been a pretty slow day in terms of actually getting anything done. Although I did think it was pretty amazing how you're starting to see some NFL players come out very strongly in the cultural wars. Aaron Rodgers was absolutely dropping bombs. I mean, the league came out and said something about Harrison Butker's graduation speech, where he was basically saying that women, you should get married and have kids. All the Rainbow Coalition stuff is evil. Pretty basic, straight Christian stuff that shouldn't even be controversial. But the NFL actually said, well, we don't agree with that, and inclusivity makes us stronger, blah, blah, blah. And they haven't said a peep about Aaron Rodgers going off about the pedocracy, and saying that if you don't believe that there aren't political figures who are being blackmailed for bad things that they've done, if you think the number of those politicians is zero, you're just fooling yourself. So I can't imagine that the league is really wanting to even address that, even to say we don't agree with that. Yeah, that was Aaron Rodgers on Tucker Carlson. And so it's pretty clear that Rodgers is not afraid to throw rhetorical bombs. I mean, he's a gunslinger as a quarterback, obviously, but he's definitely a gunslinger on the rhetorical side too. So, and he's clearly just not afraid to come out and say it. He even said he'd been at some Hollywood parties and some Oscar parties where there was, some questionable stuff going on in the background. Because he used to date that Shailene Woodley or whatever his name is. And apparently he's pretty good friends with the guy who played Rooster in Top Gun. And so, he clearly knows, he's clearly seen enough to know that whatever's going on there isn't good. And the thing is, it's not like, just to be clear, it's not like he would necessarily know anything. He wouldn't necessarily have any idea about, you know, they've brought in some little Mexican kids into a back room or something. He wouldn't be privy to that kind of information, but what he would be privy to is people talking about things and saying things, and then everyone suddenly like looking worried and trying to not talk about it and all that sort of thing. Nacentus says annual sub renewal. Keep it up. Renewed. Thank you, Nacentus. Appreciate it. You know, one of the amazing things about this community is the anti-fragile nature of it. You know, if people have to go here, they go here. If they have to go there, they go there. It's just an amazing focus on getting stuff done, keeping stuff going, and you know, that's the key to anti-fragility is not just survival but thriving on the conflict. And you know, it can be tough for some of the other communities and some, or you know, the adjacent communities, some of the other creators and stuff. They're not used to this. They're not used to it. But when they see it, it's very educational and informative to them, and it spreads. And I think that's an amazingly positive thing. I think that's one of the more important things that comes out of it is just, you know, you just have to figure out how to get it done. I mean, believe me, on Friday, when we're sitting there and, you know, the truck can't back up to the loading dock, the machine can't be turned on the truck, then it turns out that the forklift that's there isn't strong enough to, isn't big enough to take it off from the side. What do? You got a guy who's just wants to drive back to Germany or whatever. You've got this 1.5 ton machine sitting there. What do? You know, now, in part because we've spent the last 15 years dealing with one difficulty after another. I mean, you know, you don't even sweat. You just think, okay, what's the priority? What really needs to be done? Do we actually need to get that machine into that building? No. I mean, as it happens, you know, 2 days later, we decide we're not even going to use that building. So that wasn't it. All we really needed to do at the end of the day was get the machine off the truck. So like right now, all we really needed to do was turn the subscriptions back on. That's happening. The fact that it doesn't necessarily isn't particularly easy, doesn't go particularly smoothly, that's all irrelevant. We can work on that. We can improve that. We will improve that. I know a guy who can help. Yeah. The one thing that we have learned over time is no, they can't, and they won't. You know, if there's one thing I've learned, it's to stop listening to other people. You know, they think they can. They think they know, but of course, they usually don't know the precise details. They don't know the actual problem. You know, they don't realize that, hey, you're in a different legal jurisdiction, so the issues that there might be issues that somebody who's in Australia doesn't even know about versus Germany or versus the US. You know, and so you know, the key thing is just persistence. The key thing is just persistence. And the funny thing is, and I think the Linux is a great example. When I first installed Linux on a laptop, you'd have to look it up on the blog because I don't even remember how long ago it was. But it was so long ago that the first system I installed was either Red Hat 8 or Red Hat 9. And it was very difficult to get the wireless, the Ethernet stuff working. It was doable, but it took a while. And Microsoft was a lot easier. But the funny thing is, whether you're talking about Facebook, whether you're talking about Windows, these things are becoming practically unusable. And here's the dirty little secret that is not a secret at all. The more these converged companies and the more these converged development teams enhance the user experience of the product, the more unusable that they're going to become. So right now, unauthorized is as unusable as it's ever going to get. It's going to continue to become better and easier to use for both the creators and for the subscribers. It's going to keep getting better. We're actually, I think I mentioned this on Big Bear's show, we're actually talking with the soccer team in the league to see if we can do live broadcasts of the games. And if we can do it for that team, we can probably start doing it for other teams. How amazing would that be? So we're thinking both in terms of in the box about how do we make it better in a conventional way that you guys expect, and we're also thinking outside the box of what can we do that will make it just fundamentally better and different than anything that's out there right now. So it's a process. So Austin says, it's like the neighbor who offers to cut your plants. They're going to butcher it. Yeah, it's Cactus Eater Bear says, dream come true. Hey, Cactus Eater Bear, did you hear the whole Arcaven Nights? Because I know you've listened to some of the AI music. This is my favorite one, obviously. Taryn says, if football is a success, any chance of cricket? Yeah, 100%. If we can do it and there's sufficient interest and support for it, we'll do it. Why not? All of the main streaming sites are struggling big time. We haven't even begun looking into acquiring any of the stuff that's out there, and there's a ton of stuff out there, animation, etc. Okay, she's heard it. Well, you know what? I'm going to play it again anyhow, just because. So, again, if you haven't subscribed to Unauthorized yet, please be sure to do so. We have a new unauthorized Substack. In fact, I think I'm going to work on that possibly tonight, so we can have a good, a reliable place where people can just go to get instructions and get questions answered and all that sort of stuff. So, I'm Vox Day, and this is the Darkstream, and we're going to fire this up one more time before we go. Have a good evening, everybody.